everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the BackstageKatKnits podcast. My name is Catherine, and you can find me on Ravelry as BackstageKatKnits. We've also got a Ravelry group for the podcast. As usual, the show notes for this podcast will be at my Tumblr blog, which is backstageknits.tumblr.com. And I'm also on Twitter and Instagram as BackstageKath. Welcome everybody. I'm coming at you today from a slightly different location. This is still my apartment, but I have a lot of stash enhancement because I went on a yarn crawl yesterday, and so everything did not fit on my little table like it usually does when I podcast. And so I've actually got this spread out all on my futon. This is my living room, and my couch is actually a futon. I'm not really sure why. I never really have any guests, but actually I know why. It was because it was in my parents' house and we didn't have to pay for another futon when I moved. So everything is spread out on the futon. So scheduled location, or other location is scheduled to return next time, but this is going to kind of be a large acquisition podcast, so needed more space. I will get through my regular podcast. If you don't want to hear, it'll probably be like 10 minutes at least of stash enhancement. Yeah, I kind of spent a lot of money, but it was really fun. So we'll talk about the yarn crawl at the end, and if you don't feel like watching, don't watch. But thank you to everyone who does watch and continues to watch my podcast. You're a small group, but you're a really sweet group. And I've received some really nice comments from people, and just people saying hello, and it's really nice. If you haven't said hello, drop by the Ravelry group, or just, say hi on Instagram, or send me a Ravelry message or whatever. It's so nice to get to talk to people from around the world, because I think I have a viewer in Australia, maybe? Which is really nice. So, let's get started, shall we? 2 minutes into the podcast. Like I said, I don't have a whole ton of regularly scheduled programming to bring you today. I'm feeling like I'm a little bit deep. Sorry. It's cold, but I've been sitting with the windows open, so I think that's kind of stuffing me up a little bit. I actually think the heat is on. I noticed it when I was setting up this morning, so my apartment has officially decided it's fall. I have no control over my heat in my apartment, so I just kind of have to take what I get. Wow, sorry, totally rambly. Alright, let's actually get going. Works in progress. I think I showed this to you last week, and I had a half object, and still do. These are my Autumn Rose City Rollers. Patterns by Mara Catherine Briner, who's Orange Knits, I believe, on Ravelry. And last time I showed them to you, I have not gotten that much done on these. Last time I showed them to you, I had just turned the heel. I don't think I had even picked up the main foot color again. So I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 rows done since then. But yeah, these are, like I said, Rose City Rollers. I'm working 2 yarns on them. The contrast heel and toe is Knit Picks Stroll in the Cork colorway. And the main color is Plymouth Yarns Happy Feet Splash in the Autumn colorway. So I've been trying to I was thinking this week that I might try to finish these off this week, because it's officially fall or autumn here in the Northeast, and it actually finally now feels like it. Most of September it was still pretty warm. We had, I think, a couple days in the 90s in September, definitely in the 80s. So it's really nice to actually feel like fall. I've gotten to wear shawls to work, and it's been really fun. There were a few days, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was wearing shawls to work. I'm like, I will force it to be fall by wearing a shawl, and then it became fall. So like I said, 10 or so rows after doing the heel. I think I do about 62 for my foot, and then I'll start the toe decrease. So It's a little bit chilly, nothing too special about these. Knitting them on US 1, 2.25 boy DPNs. Oh, and it was actually really funny. I was at Knitting Club on Friday night, and I had been working on these the last time I went, which was 2 weeks ago. Actually, well, I went last week, but it was just me and my friend. And so when I was last week, I was still working on the first sock. The last time the people at Knitting Group had seen it. And so my friend Lydia, who goes to Knitting Group, had picked this up and was like, "Does this fit your foot?" I'm like, "Yep, wide feet, very wide feet for Catherine." So there's that. I haven't shown this bag off in a while. This is my Kicks and Giggles, wow, small wedge bag from Etsy with Unhappy Owl. Unhappy Owl makes me laugh. Okay. Time for some tea. Today I am drinking vanilla bean, black tea? I'm pretty sure it's black tea. From the Mighty Leaf. I go back and forth between loose leaf and bag tea. I have loose leaf at work and I drink tea all day long, and I've got like little make your own tea bags. And so I just use them all day at work. But sometimes when I'm at home I'm really lazy. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm less lazy at work, but I've got some tea bags at home, so sometimes I'm just gonna make tea bags. It's less hassle. The other big project that I've been spending most of my time on is the Summertide Shawl Mystery Knit Along. And this is by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. For this shawl I'm using 2 colors of Madeline Tosh Merino Light. One is a one-of-a-kind colorway I got in a grab bag earlier this year. It's a very dark gray. And the other is Begonia Leaf, which is like a fuchsia maroon. Fuchsia, I think, is the color that this actually is. So you may have noticed when I held this up, this is done. I am going to show this to you, so if you're doing the knit along and don't want to give it away, maybe I'll put a time down here. So, I think last time, I'm trying to think, I did this last week. Did I do that on Sunday? So last time I was probably some place in the middle of Clue 2, which is this gray lace here. And I finished Clue 2. It got a little bit funky at the beginning, I think, but I ended it pretty consistently. And I'm a little over halfway done with the number of rows in Clue 3, which is where the Begonia Leaf picked up. And I'm really liking this pattern. It's my first mystery knit along, so I have no idea what it will look like. But it's definitely been really fun. The one thing that's been annoying me is that I use stitch markers to mark the repeats, which I tried not to do the first couple rows in Clue 2, which is why I think it messed me up, because I knew when I knit the Velvet Summer Knit Along shawl that I knit, sometimes they would offset, and it would be really annoying to have to like move your stitch marker in the middle of a repeat. And I was like, well, I don't know that this pattern is gonna do that, and it doesn't say, and so I'm just gonna not do stitch marker repeats. And I did that for like 2 or 3 rows of lace until finally I was like, you know what, I can't. Not with this many stitches. But guess what happened this week is that the rows are offset. So after 8 rows, you need to move all your stitch markers. It's such a pain. And it lands in a really bad spot. It's like there's 1 stitch left, and you have to use that stitch to do a central double decrease or slip 2, knit 1, pass 1 over. So I've got to I get to the last stitch before the stitch marker in my new offset row, and I've got to slip that stitch, take off the stitch marker, slip the stitch back onto the left-hand needle, and slip those 2 together and continue with the row. Which is kind of a pain. But the results are definitely worth it. It's coming out looking really nice. Kind of this offset lace pattern. I don't know how well you may be able to see that there. Oh, pretty well. Ooh. Sorry, light's doing little weird things because I have windows over here. Also, my screen is really dark because I don't have my computer plugged in, so I have no idea if colors are true or not. So we'll just play along. The only other thing about this shawl is that it gets so big number of widthwise so quickly, and I'm not sure that it's really getting deep enough. This will definitely, I think, be more of a shawlette / scarf thing. We'll see what blocks out, though. I probably could have gone up a needle size, because it is a little bit tight, although I do like the way the lace is looking. But yeah, it's over 300 stitches now, and it's getting a little bit, not tedious, but just every row takes a long time, which is what the nature of the beast when it comes to shawls, so I should just get used to it and stop complaining. So that's that. Alright, welcome back if you were skipping the mystery knit along talk. The only other work in progress that I want to talk about knitting wise is an original shawl that I'm designing. Oh, sorry, pause. I'm knitting this on US 6 4mm carbons interchangeables. The only other thing that I wanted to mention knitting-wise is an original shawl that I'm working on, which I've decided to call, as I'm knitting it, the Valleys shawl. And I'm knitting this out of yarn I got in a yarn box subscription. The base is Bugga, and the yarn company is the Verdant Griffin. And this is the Clown Spikes Orchid colorway. And so last week when I showed this to you, I was really not very far along, just about like this. I'd done 10 rows, so this little tiny portion, and now I've done 70 and change rows, so you can actually sort of see the pattern more a little bit. It's just an alternated kind of garter, I guess it's stockinette with a garter rib, yeah, and then just a lattice section, and so I'm really liking how it's coming out. And I'm thinking I'm going to keep knitting this ad infinitum, although we may get creative and add another section, but I'm just gonna go on this until I run out of yarn. Yeah, I'm knitting this on US 8s, but I really want this to kind of be a shawl that I could knit in any yarn with appropriately sized needles. This is a sport weight yarn, and I'm using 8 because I actually tend to knit really tightly, so I deliberately wanted it to be a little bit looser and drapier. I'll probably put this pattern on Ravelry. I've taken really good notes. You know, I don't have it all typed up, but I do have it all written down, and actually charts for it as well. You know, I don't have that typed into a program yet. It's sort of obviously all sitting here in my notebook, but you know, it's not anything special, but it's a fun shawl, and I may put it on Ravelry. I probably won't charge any money for it, but it would be cool to just have a pattern on Ravelry. So yeah, this is, or will continue to be, the Valley shawl. I've been working on this the whole time because the mystery knit along has taken a lot of time this week because it's so big, which is awesome. I haven't touched any of my other works in progress that I've mentioned, talked about. Class reunion still has about that much. I actually have done a pretty good amount of work on the Waves Gone By, but it still doesn't look drastically different to really feel like I need to show it to you. Next week I'll probably, or next time, which may be in 2 weeks, I'll probably have enough to show you that it will be different enough that I don't feel it's like, and here's some more garter stitch, you know. Alright, so that's that. I do want to talk about spinning now. I have a spinning finished object. You guys, I made yarn. I might insert a picture of what it looked like in the skein because I really liked it, but I did want to wind it into a ball in case I considered casting on. I'm gonna make a headband out of it, ear warmer headband thing. I think it'll be just the right amount of yarn for that, and it will show off kind of the thick and thin well. But I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So yeah, this is a double-plied yarn. Clearly, the teal, it looks a little bit muted on this screen, is a merino top, and the natural brownish grayish is Romney roving. And so I spun both of these things in about a week and plied them at the second installation of my drop spindle class last Sunday. So there's that. I'm actually super stoked about it. Like, it came out looking like yarn. And I was actually at Knit and Pearls yesterday for the yarn crawl, and I was talking to the owners, who of course were all there, and the woman who works at the shop, who was working when we had the class, was like, she's like, oh, this is the girl. And I was like, oh boy, I'm famous here. First of all, I was famous because I won the yarn dyeing class, so I got to set it up. And then I was also the girl who the knitting instructor had really nice things to say, and she said she was really impressed by my spinning, apparently. So that's pretty cool. I'm guessing on average, this is probably like DK weight. Maybe. It is fairly still thick and thin in some places. Excuse me, but I got about 70 yards out of it. I forgot to weigh it for you guys. Sorry. But this is my first hand-spun project, and it actually is like workable yarn, and I'm pretty excited about it. So there's that. Excuse me. So of course I couldn't stop there. I do have a pretty good amount of the Romney left. I may ply it and do something out of it. Although now that I'm thinking about it, I might have enough for a hat if I plied this and used this for the brim and used that for the hat. That thought just occurred to me. Maybe I'll try that. Not a ton here, but if I apply it on it, we'll see. So, of course, I didn't stop there. So, I do have a new spinning project, and as you can see, a new spindle. So, this is my awesome steampunk gear spindle from Snyder's Spindles on Etsy. Definitely check them out. This was like $22, maybe? Very, well, what I thought was a good value, and it's very, very light. That's, there's holes in it, and so it makes it more pleasant, and it has, all this gear has the functionality if you can put the fiber or the singles that you're spinning kind of at any place, which I'm finding more enjoyable to spin on it than my big old heavy, very, very standard drop spindle I got at Knit and Pearls. So, it may be a little bit hard to kind of tell what's going on down there. Again, my screen is kind of dark today because of how my setup is. Ooh, sorry, lots of sirens. Joys of living in Hartford. But I did get fiber to spin with. This is from Spun Right Round on Etsy. And this is Gypsy, which is a custom merino BFL blend. And the braid looks like this. So it's really pretty. It's like the natural color, which I think is the BFL, and then it's got the merino colors throughout it. So it's got a gold, a purple, a blue, a pink, and a brown. And so as you can see, I'm sort of working on it. I still have a ton to go, but yeah, I'm liking how it's spinning up. And I'm actually getting much more consistent. Like, look at that. Like, that's pretty much all one thickness. So I'm really excited to actually, and it gets a little bit worse there, but, whoops. I'm really excited to actually ply this up and see what it looks like, because each piece of fiber that I'm spinning is like very different colors. So I'm really interested to see how this. I think it's going to be kind of kooky looking in a good way yarn when I ply it together. That's it for whips. Obviously my big acquisition section is coming up, but I did have some minor acquisitions. Also from Spun Right Round, I got their SW Sock 8020 base, and this is the Metro colorway. It's an 80% superwash. That's what SW stands for. Duh, Catherine. Merino, 20% nylon, 400 yarns per 100 grams. And it's this gray with blue and pink and black speckles, and it's really pretty. So probably this will be socks, because it's a little bit kooky. I like to wear shawls to work, and I think this is a little bit too kooky to wear to work. So I would wear this to work. It's bright, but it's more, it's not a solid color, but it's just, I don't know. I would wear this to work. I would definitely wear this to work. I wouldn't wear a shawl made of this to work. I work in an office in insurance. If this is your first episode watching me, so you know it is business casual, and it's fairly laid back. I mean, it's not laid back. It's business casual, but it can be a little bit more creative. You know, it's not. I don't have to wear a suit every day. Not my direct manager, but her manager is very creative with her clothing options, so I feel a little bit empowered to, you know, be a little bit creative, and you can wear fun colors, and you know, as long as you're not inappropriate, it's not really a problem if you're wearing a purple and pink scarf. The other stash acquisition is actually something that I had last week but forgot to talk about it. This was my Yarn Box socks from the, I guess this would have been September. This is Rain City Knits Super Sock, and this is the Wasabi colorway. It's 463 yards for 100 grams. And this is, I can't even read it. Ooh, focus. There we go. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So again, it's looking a little washed out, but it's just sort of this bright. It's not really lime green. I don't know what kind of green this would be. Seafoam green? I'd call it a seafoam green. And there was a pattern that came with it, and I don't have my tablet to show you, but it was just a basic. I think it had some zigzags. I didn't look at it too closely. Yeah. So that's it for normally scheduled programming. I don't have really anything to talk about theater-wise. Yeah, I've got rehearsal tonight. We're doing our first show next weekend. We've got one show at a benefit, and then the 2 weekends after that, we've got a show in an actual theater. It will be so nice to be in a theater again. I can't wait. My next couple of weeks are super busy. This week was awesome. It wasn't awesome. So this week at work, we actually had someone. It was kind of an India-themed week, I guess. We had somebody, coming in from India to do an operating review. I work with a vendor over in India, and they were having their operating review here in Hartford. So we had that review on Wednesday, but on Tuesday we actually had a celebration with our team over in India, because it's been about a year that we've been working with them. A little over a year, but just about a year that they've been, really doing this process for us, and they've done a really awesome job. So we had a little celebration, and they were also celebrating one of the managers' birthdays. And so we're just on the phone, and we knew they were going to have cake, and we had a pastry ring to kind of celebrate the 1-year celebration because it was 10 o'clock in the morning. We weren't having cake. And Phillips, this one guy who we work with, was like, okay, so we are going to, sing to Moon War now, and we're going to rub frosting on his face. And we're like, ha, that's funny, like, what a fun joke. No, like, they actually rubbed frosting on his face while we were singing him happy birthday. And his face, they, like, covered his whole face. It was like he was wearing like you put on sunscreen before you rub it in. Just all over his face. Frosting. And Phillips was telling us, like, that was actually nice of them, because usually when it's your birthday, they will, like, rub frosting in your hair, and, like, they will, like, smush it on your face. They were, like, being really, nice about it. And so he was saying that, people don't want to celebrate their birthdays in the office, and that if you do, you need to, always remember to bring in an extra shirt if it's your birthday, because you will get covered in frosting. And I thought that was a really interesting tradition that we were all joking, we're not going to start that tradition. So that was fun. And then on Wednesday night we went out to dinner with the woman who was here from India, and just had a really nice chat with her, and someone else who works for the company but's based here in Hartford. Excuse me. So that was really fun. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my hair today. Alright, yeah, my next couple of weeks are really busy. I've got the show next weekend, then I'll have a few days to, like, hang out. That's just Friday night. A weekend after, I'm going to DC to visit a friend. The weekend after, we have the shows again. Then I have a church meeting that will take up the weekend after Friday and Saturday. Then the weekend after that, I'm taking my 5th CBCU test. Hooray! So I need to find time and all that to study for a CBCU test. That's an insurance designation, again, if you're a new viewer, that I've been working on. I'm about halfway through with it. So, definitely busy life coming up. But this weekend has been really fun. Friday night I went to knitting club, and then actually I got home, and, like, right after I got home I got a text from a friend. He was like, hey, who only lives less than a mile, I think, from me, definitely less than a mile from me, about half a mile probably. It was like, hey, I've got, my wife and I and this other guy who we're friends with are hanging out. Do you want to come over and play some board games? So we went over there and we played a game called Pandemic, which was actually really fun because you work together to try to beat the game, and the game is trying to beat you. You basically have to save the world from an pandemic. And so it's nice to just play a game where you kind of work together a little bit. I actually won the last game we played with them. Not Pandemic, a different game. A few months ago, or a month, I don't remember when it was. But I actually won a board game. And I hardly ever win board games, so I kind of wanted to play a game that we could all win. And then yesterday I yarn crawled all day long. I left the house at 9 and returned to it at 5. And in all that time, I was driving and buying yarn. So that was awesome, but exhausting and draining on my bank account. But very enjoyable, and I have my next, like, 8 projects planned. So I'm good until the holidays when I'll get more yarn. So I don't need to buy yarn, Catherine. You do not need to buy yarn until the spring. Yeah. We'll see how long I keep the promise to myself. Not long at all, because I plan to go to the New England Sheep and Wool Festival, or Sheep and Fiber, or Fiber and Yarn, I forget what it's called, in November. So, but I'll have someone with me there, so maybe I'll be better to not be judged by my yarn purchasing choices. So that's it. Wow, I talked more than I thought I would about regularly scheduled things, so it's gonna be a long episode. So if you don't want to hear all about the yarn crawl and my Mountains of Stash acquisition, thank you for joining me. And I'll see you next time. Maybe next week if I have enough done. Definitely not in 2 weeks. So, could be 3 weeks, could be 1. I'll figure it out. Thanks for tuning in. If you're sticking around, awesome. I'm really excited to show you my yarn stash from Yarn Crawl and talk about Yarn Crawl. So, I showed this to you last time, or 2 times ago, I think. I had picked this up. This was Nibbles and Knits, Western Connecticut Yarn Council Yarn Crawl. 7 shops. As you can see, I've got stamped on them all. And here is the map of the shops. So, I'll kind of show you what I did first. Let's see if I can get this to work. So, I live here. So, I actually started the day, my plan would be to start here. This is the one that's actually closest to me in Avon. That's Knit and Pearls, where I go a lot. But, the one in Bristol, which is New England Yarn and Spindle, that was actually opening early. So I actually went to that one first because I was able to get there at about 9:30 and get an earlier start to the day. Every place else opened at 10. So I came here and I drove to Avon. That was about a 20-minute drive, I think. Then I went up to Torrington. I think that was about 25 or 30 minutes up into Torrington. Then I drove all the way, probably 45 minutes, over to Kent. I really like the yarn store in Kent. All the way down into Bethel. Actually, Bethel was probably one of my favorite yarn stores. It was one of the bigger ones. Over to Ridgefield for Nancy O. Also, Torrington is In Sheep's Clothing. Kent is Black Sheep Yarns. Bristol was a Stitch in Time. No, sorry, that's Bethel. Bethel, over here in the corner, was a Stitch in Time. Ridgefield is Nancy O is the name of the yarn store. And then ended my day about a half-hour drive into Westport, which is Westport Yarns. And then I get to drive all the way home over to Hartford. So it was a long day. Like I said, left at about 9, got home at about 5. It was like a work day of yarn. So, okay. I'll show you what I got in each place. And there will be significant crackling because I had to keep these all in their bags or else I would forget which I got where if I didn't keep them together for now. So like I said, I started the day. I tried to be really good. And I printed off a bunch of patterns that I wanted to make and actually tried to buy yarn to go to those patterns. And actually most of the places I have a pattern to go with the yarn that I bought. Which, you know, I still spent the money on the yarn, but at least I have plans to use it. So the first place I got 2 skeins of Rowan yarn. This is the felted tweed. And I got 1 skein of carbon and 1 skein of paisley. And so these are a DK weight, a little bit tweedy, and they say it's lightly pre-felted to kind of give it a felted look when you knit with it. I am going to knit on it the Hinagaiku hat. And I believe this is a free pattern on Ravelry by 87 Cafe. So it's just a nice little twisted rib with a daisy stitch pattern. It's a really cool textured pattern on the hat. So I'll make that. I think I'm gonna do the brim out of the dark yarn and the hat out of the pink, just to show off the stitch a little bit better on this lighter yarn. As I bought 2 gray and color combos, and I'm currently working on a gray and color combo. Oh well, that's apparently my color obsession. And they're also having a pretty good deal on some notions, so I bought a 47-inch cable, which as you can see is not here because I moved it onto my Summertide shawl last night. I bought a 16-inch cable because they're good for hats, and I bought carbon double points because I'm realizing I'm enjoying working on double points, but the boy ones are starting to get a little bit annoying, and I like carbons. I love my interchangeable set. As you can see, my 2 of my shawls are on carbons, so I figured I'd pick up a pair of double points and see how I like them. US ones for socks. So again, that I got at New England Yarn and Spindle in Bristol, Connecticut. Okay. Then I went to my favorite place. Actually, not really, but Knit and Pearls, where they know me, which is awesome. I love when you go to shops and people know you. It's true at the tea store and it's true at the yarn store. You can tell where my passions lie. So, I got this beautiful skein of Juniper Moon Farm Thinly Dappled. This is a lace weight yarn. It's 100 grams, 798 yards. This is color 122, which is Arcadia. It's a really like muted pastel kind of color. Blues, oranges, pinks. Juniper Moon Farm. And I got this to make the shoot, it's been a long time. Would this be Oyas? Ibeas? I don't see an H. Ojas? Ibeas? Awful. I totally forgot Spanish translation. But this is a shawl. This was free on Ravelry for a little bit. It might still be free right now. And so it's actually got 2 versions in here. But I think I'm going to make the one that will look, the lace version, which is a little bit bigger, which will look like that. So, again, bought yarn for a specific purpose, go me. 2 down, 2 specific purpose. And then I picked up this a pair of scissors, and that put me over the limit of you spent a certain amount and you got a free gift from them. So because I got this skein of Pagewood Farm United Nations Swagger Light. So it's maybe a worsted weight, kind of chunky yarn. I might make this actually as a hat for my sister. I can see her wearing a hat made out of that. So there's that, Knit and Pearls. And now I went over to In Sheep's Clothing in Torrington, Connecticut. And I did not buy anything there that corresponded to any of the patterns I had printed out, but I sell a lot of kits there. So I got a kit for this, which is the Passy shawl. And it comes with 6 mini skeins of Packapeds, and this is the lupine colorway. So we've got 600 yards here. I'm not really sure what weight yarn this is, it doesn't say. This is actually my first alpaca yarn. So the point is that you knit this kind of with a gradient, starting light at the top and getting dark at the bottom. So I really like this. Like I said, this is my first alpaca yarn. And it's soft, but it actually feels pretty sturdy as well. So, really looking forward to knitting with that. So again, specific yarn for a specific purpose. Doing pretty good so far. Next, I headed over to Black Sheep. My bags aren't over. Next, I headed over to Black Sheep Yarns in Kent. I love the shop. It was so like light and airy, and the people were super friendly, and they had lots of food. I was not as stoked about their yarn collection. They didn't really have a whole lot of fingering weight, and a lot of the patterns I printed out were shawls, so I was kind of looking for that, and they didn't really have it. So I was like, well, I don't know, like, I had a skein of fingering weight picked out, but it was kind of expensive. The one thing they did have was they had 3 free patterns for you to take. So silly socks, and then a matching basket lattice cap and basket lattice fingerless gloves, excuse me. So didn't buy yarn to make these, which I probably could have bought yarn to make these, but I didn't feel like it. So I was kind of wandering around, like, well, maybe I'll pick up yarn to make these. I don't know. I've already got a hat planned. I really want to make another hat. And so I was kind of wandering around, and I found fiber. This is my one fiber purchase for the day. I didn't really see much fiber at the yarn stores. So this is Rowanwood Farm, which is actually a local farm in Connecticut, in Newtown. So you can see it's got a lot going on there. But look at this gorgeous beauty. Ah, it's like a very light teal with dark blue specks and sparkles. Just, oh, it's so beautiful. Oh. I like don't even want to spin with it. I kind of just want to like sleep on it. Oh, I was so excited about this when I saw it. This might be my favorite purchase of the entire yarn crawl. It's so beautiful. I'm just noticing there's some blue sparkles in here. So I cannot wait to spin with this. I'm really excited. So it's got, as you couldn't see, mohair, Jacob. It says merino. I don't know if merino is different than merino. Alpaca, fiber, sheep wool. So I think they have baby doll sheep, it says on here. And there must be some sort of sparkle. I don't know if it's stellina or something. This is 2.5 ounces. So, this thing, like I said, is gorgeous. Oh boy. Can I get it back in this bag? Sorry. Oh boy. No, it doesn't hurt. Okay. So, like I said, of the yarn stores I've talked about so far, I liked New England Yarn and Spindle. They had a really good selection. A pretty small shop, but, you know, I don't know, maybe like, I'm not gonna estimate square foot, but very small. But I really like their selection, and they had a couple. They had like a yarns from Maine, and so it was a nice shop. They had a huge big wall of like some of the Plymouth yarns, so definitely a pretty wide selection there. Knit and Pearls I really like. They've got a pretty good selection as well. One thing I like about them is they actually sell a line of yarn hand dyed by a woman who works there. She may be the co-owner. I'm not really clear on the relationship. But I'm actually taking a dyeing seminar with her that I won in a giveaway earlier this year. So I like that they have kind of hand dyed yarns there as well. And then in Sheep's Clothing in Torrington, I wasn't crazy about the yarns there. I guess I really want to knit socks, and so I'm like looking for all the sock yarn, and they're not. I guess I'm spoiled at Webs because they have like 3 rows of it. Obviously they have much more of everything at Webs. No yarn store compared to Webs. The scale is different, but there just wasn't really anything in Sheep's Clothing I was super excited about. And I actually had 2 things in my hand that, even that I wasn't really stoked about. And she had written it down to write my receipt, and I saw that kit, and I was like, you know what, let me get that instead. There was almost no thinner yarn, and wasn't really crazy about anything in there, but I found that kit, which I really, really do like. So it was like the one thing that I enjoyed. And then, like I said, Black Sheep Yarns in Kent, the store was awesome. I would definitely be knitting there a lot if I lived closer to Kent. I don't. I have no idea how far it is to these stores. I drove, to them from different places, but it's probably at least an hour to Kent, I'm gonna guess, from where I live. At least. It's actually probably a lot more than that. Yeah, it's definitely more than that. But, like I said, not a lot of selection for fingering weight yarn. So, that's okay though. Now that it's fall, maybe I'll get more into chunky yarns again. Alright, next I went to, what's it called? A Stitch in Time, which I really, really like. A Stitch in Time is also a needlepoint shop, so like half the store is kind of needlepoint embroidery, needle felting, maybe? I didn't really look at that half. I was on a mission. And half the store is yarn. And they actually had someone from Baracco Yarns there who works there, and so I had a bunch of samples of things knitted up. And so I actually bought 4 skeins of Baracco, 50 gram skeins, and that's actually a really good deal. That yarn is pretty well priced. So I bought Baracco Folio, and I forgot to look up the colorway names because they're not on the gauge. But this teal and this gray and color combos. This is 65% alpaca, 35% rayon. So I guess it's alpaca day for Catherine after not really ever using alpaca. How do you say that word? Alpaca. I think I want to add another L. Alpaca. No. Alpaca. So a teal and a dark, very dark gray, a charcoal. And so I got this to make the oyster shawl. So I've talked about this before. I originally wanted to make this out of 2 skeins of Tosh Merino Light because that was what was suggested in the pattern, and I was going to make it actually out of this gray and a brown that I got, but I've used up obviously that gray, and yeah. So I think that's going to make a really beautiful shawl. I don't think so. I don't think it's anything that I need. So, folio. I just got 4 skeins of that. The lady from Baracco was really nice, and I walked up to her and I was like, because they actually had a good amount of slack yarn at A Stitch in Time, but they didn't really have a lot of like solid colors, and I was thinking maybe I'll do a variegated for the eyelet section and a solid color for the lace. Wasn't really finding anything I liked, so I walked up to the woman and I was like, if you're gonna knit the shawl out of Baracco yarns that are in the store, what would you knit it with? And she pointed me to the folio, and I'm happy with it. I wish they had I considered buying a fuchsia, but I was like, you know what? I'm making a fuchsia and gray combo right now. I don't need 2 fuchsia and gray scarves. And they didn't have 2 skeins of the one color I wanted, so not my ideal colorway, but I probably could have just bought in 2 skeins and gotten 2 later. But again, I was like, I don't want to go yarn shopping again after this day, so I just got everything there. I'm going to be very pleased with the result. I'm not worried about it. And if I like it, well, I can knit it again in more colors, right? So I really liked A Stitch in Time. I'll definitely go there again to spend more time there. Yarn trolls are crazy because I was trying to get this all done in one day. Like I could have gone, I could have gone again this afternoon. It ran over 3 days, so if I didn't finish all today, but all these yarn stores are pretty far away from me, and so it was just gonna work better if and be less stressful on my car. I don't drive very often, so my car didn't care, but just I didn't want to have to, I could have done these 4, the top 4 yesterday and the bottom 3, but it just would have been a pain to have to drive down there twice. So I was kind of, trying to not rush through the stores, but get in there and get out pretty quickly. And I finished at the last store at about 4 o'clock. and they all closed at 5. So, yeah. Actually, a little bit before 4 o'clock. Maybe 3:30. I don't remember. So, but maybe if I'm having a lazy Sunday, I might go down to, or Saturday or something, I'll go down to Stitch in Time and hang out there and knit. It's a nice yarn store. People are really friendly. Oh, almost done. 2 more to go. It's heavy. Oh, right. So I went over to Nancy O in Ridgefield, and Nancy's a really cool store because they actually half their store is like clothing, kind of like, you know, like a gift shop, and then half their store's a yarn store. They don't have a whole huge selection, but they've got a lot of hand-dyed stuff, which is really nice. And they were having a trunk show of, what's the name of the yarn company? Collinette yarns. Jitterbug. Oh my god. I was so excited when I saw this colorway. I like saw it and I was like, well, it's kind of expensive. And so I walked around the entire store and was like, no, this is the skein of yarn that I need to buy. And I also bought some eucalyptus at Nancy O because they had it. This is like mint chocolate chip ice cream with berries in it, and I just want to admire it and look at it and knit it. I'm actually noticing that there's a free pattern on the back. A sock pattern. Awesome. So this is 150 grams. So I might make some knee-high socks. So to use up more of it. Because my stitches are so big that even the Rose City rollers take up 75. So I might be able to get 2 Rose City rolls out of this, but probably not. So I'll probably make socks. I do want to one day have Franken socks, so this will probably go into my Franken socks stash after making a pretty sizable skein of socks from it. But I love this skein. And then, because I bought this in eucalyptus, I was over their limit for get a free skein of yarn. So I got this. Oops. This is the pattern that came with it. This is Lang Cruz. I have no idea of the colorway, and I could not figure out from this label, which is mostly in German, what the colorway is. It looks like 6025, but I tried to put that into Ravelry, and it, like, nothing came up. So maybe it looks like also it's the dye lot. Maybe it's this. I tried 863, nothing came up. I tried 60, nothing came up. So I'll have to do some research and try to figure out what the colorway is. But it's like a burnt red, a little bit of browns, blacks and grays. Probably will stripe. Might make a cowl out of this. So where I work. I knew men. This is definitely a very manly color. The other color was like a purple, and I had already gotten a free skein of purple yarn, so I got this one, which I'm actually kind of now regretting, because I don't like it as much. But if I had a man to knit for, actually my dad might wear a scarf I made him out of that. We'll see. Last but not least, Westport yarns. I liked Westport yarns just fine. It is where I finished my yarn crawl. Hooray! And because I finished my yarn crawl at Westport Yarns, they gave me this skein, which maddeningly is not labeled. And they told me what it was, but I was so tired when I got home yesterday that I forgot. It's definitely Malabrigo. I remember her saying that. It wouldn't have given away Madeline Tosh. No, it's definitely Malabrigo. And I thought she said chunky, but then I went on Ravelry to put this in my stash, and I was looking, and it said Malabrigo Chunky is a 3-ply yarn, which this is not. So I have to do some more research to try to figure out what this is. But it's nice. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make with it. But yeah, this was my hooray, you finished the yarn crawl gift. And by that time it felt like hooray, because I was so tired. And then I got, sorry, my hair's like a hot mess today. 3 skeins of Cascade Heritage Silk, which I got to make a shawl that I had been wanting to make for a very long time, which is the Lily Pilly wrap. And so I stayed pretty true to the sample that was knit. This is all shown in the stripes are black and white, and the color is red. My red that I got is probably a little more true red than this. That was knit a little bit maroony, but this will probably be my Christmas scarf. So I'm going to try to get this done in time for Christmas. But I really like this. So it's going to be a very striking wrap, and I can't wait. So I actually been like, this is the shawl that I want to knit and will probably knit next. And like, I just all day long I was like, I really want to knit this, but nothing really had colors in fingering weight yarn. But this did. So really excited about this. So that was my day. And I thought it's actually really fun. I don't have it probably here someplace on my Westport Yarns gave me a keychain which said their yarn name, and the keychain is a tape measure, which is nice, but like it's and you can use for knitting. It's not a soft tape measure. It's a like one that you would use if you're constructing a house, right? Like a metally plasticky one. Which great yarn, but then it has a level on it. I'm like, what do you use a level for whilst crafting? Like, it's just really funny. Like, this is the thing that they chose to stamp their name on and hand out as a freebie. A level, a little like liquid in the what? Actually, it was a nice keychain. I may have actually, no, I didn't put it on my keychain, but why would, if you're a yarn store, out of all the little keychain tchotchkes that there must be on Oriental Trading Company and things like that, why would you choose one with a level? Like, I was so confused. Alright, I've just been talking for 57 minutes. I think that's quite enough. Thank you for listening if you stuck with me this long. Definitely my longest episode to date. Like I said, busy couple next week's. I'll probably try to record next week so I don't have to record 3 weeks from now. Because I'll be in DC. Yeah. Alright. Well, I hope that wherever you are, you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you knit something awesome this week. See you next time.